This was an article I found about developing audio content. So it was an interview with 5 people across different sectors of the media industry that are all talking about their tips, their tricks, how they have learned to incorporate audio in more of a regular podcast-like fashion rather than it just being this thing you do every once in a while.
What to think about when developing audio content. This episode of Today in News Tech is made possible with audio articles by ourhometown.com. Today, we're highlighting a piece by Damian Radcliffe over at journalism.co.uk, which features interviews with 5 industry representatives about the trends they've noticed in podcast usage. The article, 5 Tips for Publishers to Make the Most Out of Any Audio Format, discusses the uptick in interest for both creating and consuming podcasts. The experts interviewed also discuss different use cases and formats for podcast content. If there is one thing that is certain about the future of audio, it is that the number of places listeners can get their audio news will only increase, said audio producer Francisca Monahan. Here are a few of our big takeaways. Just like with other formats, timeliness is key. Make sure you're able to produce podcasts quickly so that your readers get the information while it's still relevant. Podcasts are platform agnostic, meaning you won't need to change the content much for each distribution channel it's uploaded to. When developing audio content, it's important to first consider your title, description, which voices you will be featuring, how much audience interaction you expect, and how you plan to promote it. Podcasting is a growing medium that attracts an entirely new audience publishers can add to their readership. Because of this, Our Hometown developed audio articles playlist to make the process of creating quality audio content as fast and simple as possible.
Great article. Yeah, I think that quote is a really good one. Let's just repeat it. If there's one thing that is certain about the future of audio, it is that the number of places listeners can get their audio news will only increase. And that goes to one of your big takeaways, that podcasts are platform agnostic, right? So you basically publish once and then syndicate everywhere is what they're saying. You don't need to customize it. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Like really with other social media, sometimes you do. Like if you want to be on TikTok versus Facebook. It's
right. I mean, every platform has its own specialty and you need to actually craft the content to take advantage of it. But
right. Exactly.
With audio, like Spotify, Apple, Google, all those are technically separate platforms, but they all serve the same purpose for the same content.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of just maximizing the value there. So whether you're recording it or if you're automatically producing it with some text-to-speech transcription tool like audio articles, if you can, host it on your website through some type of a playlist there, because we want to obviously keep our audience there once they're on the site. But if you're trying to market the website and market your brand, then you're on Spotify. Apple Podcasts are probably the 2 biggest ones, and then probably Google Podcasts. And one interesting thing that I'll bring up shortly is the different syndication channels. We use Buzzsprout, which is a great one, and it allows you to just upload the episodes, and we do that through an API. But get the episodes into your account, and then it syndicates to all the apps. If you used Anchor, which is Spotify's version of Buzzsprout, then apparently you can charge for access to your podcast on Spotify through that channel. And they got it all worked out where you set the pricing. It can be a per episode price. It could be a subscription to the show.
Right.
So
that Anchor platform is really impressive too.
Have you ever downloaded it?
I haven't downloaded it, but I've looked into it. And like another really interesting feature that I'm not sure how much utility our customers will get out of it, but through that partnership with Spotify, you get a music license so that you can embed music into all of your episodes as well.
That's interesting.
That's right. They also have buffer music too.
You use it, right, Vera? I think
That's right.
Okay, so you created your own account. I downloaded that app one time. It seemed like they definitely figured out a great way to get the whole process in one app, because you can record the episode, save it. I don't know if you can edit it even in Anchor, but you can at least record.
So, yeah.
Gee, that's really smart.
You have 2 options for editing. You can use the dashboard on your PC, which I use because I like to see more of my screen, or you could do it on your phone. Now, everything's a little bit more condensed because it's a smaller area, but you still have the same functionality.
Yeah, I think if we could get it working with Anchor, that would be probably worth it. I think there was a reason we didn't do it initially, but it may not be a problem anymore. Anchor did exist back then, but now that they've got this monetization model, that's interesting to me because I'm kind of torn on it. We can have the paywall on the playlists on the website, the playlist generator page. So if we have it there, but then we're giving it away on the podcast apps, that just seems a little bit inconsistent. So,
well, I think that all kind of comes back to these points that I kind of summarized in that final point. When you're developing your audio content, you have to first think through how you want to implement it. Like,
right.
Is the purpose to drive engagement to the site, or is the purpose to be a premium version of your news?
So establish the goal. Don't just innovate for the sake of innovating. We've talked about that before. You don't just dive in and start a podcast without a goal. That can be growing your brand and just driving traffic to the website where you monetize it with an ad network and or subscriptions. Or maybe we extend that subscription outside of the website through Anchor. So yeah, that's something that we'll have to look into the technical details on, whether we can implement it in an automated way. But I think that's something that we can probably implement at some point down the road.
Another thing worth considering is if you didn't want to put it behind the paywall on Anchor, is they do have sponsorship for monetization. So if you have high traffic,
there you go.
That might be the way to go. You can offer it for free and still make money because of the traffic.
So that's something that I looked into for Buzzsprout, but they didn't have many options, first of all. It didn't seem like it was a very developed program. So maybe at some point we could do a little product review. Do you have Anchor on your desktop, Vera, or is it just on your phone?
It's on my personal laptop.
Okay.
But I can access. Yeah.
Maybe at some point we could just sit down and look at the functionality there, because these are all things that we're probably going to want to eventually do ourselves. But for now,
one other thing I wanted to tag on.
Sure.
This was like in August. They did add to where if you have a YouTube, I guess a vlog where you publish like Today in News Tech, for example, they can convert the speech for podcasting.
Okay, they would take the video audio and turn it into podcast? Okay.
Yes,
That's
they just
cool.
added that, and I thought that was worth mentioning.
That's great. Yeah, that would save us some time. I mean, I know Chris
definitely
takes the time. Yeah, he'll create a video, export the video and the audio separately, and then go over and upload it to our podcast. So, yeah, I mean, that's really smart of Spotify. You can see they're like neck and neck with YouTube in a lot of ways. I mean, YouTube's obviously much bigger, but they're competing in many ways. And I think Spotify is actually pretty impressive. They seem to be shifting more towards the subscription model. They've been a freemium model for a long time, but I have no idea. I'd be curious how much of their revenue comes from paying subscribers versus the ads that they run for everyone else.
Have analytics, so you could track that too.
They have well, that would be on a specific podcast level. I was thinking just for Spotify in general, but for a podcast, yeah, so you would have this one Anchor dashboard where you can opt into sponsorship, and then you can turn on the subscriptions. That's definitely worth looking into. Thanks for watching Today in News Tech, the podcast covering innovation in digital journalism. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube or any of your favorite podcast apps. We'll see you tomorrow.
At our hometown, we help newspapers build WordPress websites, design native apps, and develop digital subscription models. If you are interested in a free prototype of your publication on WordPress, go to ourhometown.com and click the Contact Us button.